Hi, I'm Kelly White. I'm the Director of Education at the Pacific Union Company here in Napa Valley. And I'm on Drink a Bottle with my friend, Elaine Chukan Brown. She's very hard to introduce because she does so many things so well. But she is, I think, one of the best wine writers and wine communicators at large in the business, not just now, but forever, evermore, ever was, ever will be. And she just won a huge award, International Wine Communicator of the Year, which I think was really well deserved. And you should probably just get it every year. And she's brought some fun wines. I had some shipping issues, so I have one wine to share. I'm the lesser friend in this scenario, but excited to drink with my pal.
You gave me the first birth year wine I ever had.
Which was what?
I was at Press, when you were still at Press. I was at Press having dinner with Eric Asimov, and you served us
1978.
1974, so that's how old I am, 1974.
Schoolhouse Pinot Noir.
That's right, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was such a great example of how Pinot really can actually age that long,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's an honor for me.
Yeah, not the lesser friend. One of the things we decided was, you know, we're both known for California, so we decided not to bring California. And so I was like, okay, what do I drink with Kelly? Only my very favorite things.
Okay.
Like Kelly deserves the very best, very favorite things.
Thank you.
That are not necessarily just every day in the house, like only delicious, right?
Okay.
So I love white wine, and one of my favorite white wines is actually Saudi family, Palladius. And I don't know have you had this before?
I have.
Well, because you've been in South Africa more recently than I have, too.
Yes. I love this wine.
I
I
love
have
this
not
wine.
had this vintage, so this is very exciting for me.
Forgive me, I just ripped the foil off. I don't have time for bullshit. I just ripped the foil off.
I'm going to use my teeth.
But this is a really special wine because, so 2015 was the first vintage that Eben said he made the wine he wanted to be making all along. And like him making white wine at all was this really big deal.
Yeah.
And so this is the 2016 where he'd kind of had some time to work with the wine the way he wanted, but also it's a wine that you should give some time in bottle. It's very intentionally a blend of the region.
Okay.
It's meant to express white wines from across the region. And so it's from 17 different vineyards. And I think it's 13 different varieties, but all whites.
It smells
Yeah.
wonderful. Cheers.
Cheers.
To your big win.
Thank you. But also, he's so special to spend time with, you know?
He's awesome. Actually, I have a great story about him that reminds me of a great thing about you. One of my favorite articles you've ever written was a while ago. You wrote it for World of Fine Wine, linking personality and winemaking, right? And I think that is one of these things in wine that is known, but so hard to articulate, almost impossible. And you did an amazing job. I don't know if you've read that recently, but it's really fantastic. And it's absolutely true. And there's also, you know, obviously a link between personality and grape growing, right? Where you would grow grapes, where you find yourself, where you put your body and your land on this planet. And Eben Sadi really summed it up for me with this great example in that I was very lucky to spend a whole day kind of crisscrossing the Swartland with him when I was in South Africa a couple of years ago. And we went out to a really remote vineyard to vote pad, which is just out in the mountains, miles, hours from anything else. And he said to me as we were driving up to it, he goes, you know, it's a very specific type of person that would have a vineyard out here. The kind of guy that needs to order a pizza, he said, cannot make wine out here. And he goes, you have to be able to kill your own chicken. And for me, that's now created the spectrum of sort of grape growers. Are you like pizza or are you killing your own chicken?
Well, that's actually one of the things I've always had sort of in the back of my head trying to figure out how to talk through too, but I feel like that sums it up. Like now I don't need to work on an article. Because I worked on that piece, personality and winemaking, how wines show the personality of the winemaker. But while I was working on that, I realized, oh crap, you have to talk about the grape grower too. The truth is like that personality somehow shows up in the wine too, but it's so much harder to articulate, I think.
It's special.
Yeah.
And so is this wine, by the way. I'm glad that this has some age on it because the
Well,
nose is really fun.
well, I was geeking out so hard about this wine that I actually bought 2 vintages of it.
Okay.
And then this morning I had to make a choice because I was like, okay, Elaine Brown, you are not here to bring a car full of wine. You are here to choose wines, choose your wines. And so I had to pick one vintage. And I just feel like this wine shows it. I love the racy tautness of it when it's young,
Yeah.
but I also feel like it wants to give flesh and texture.
Yes.
And that because this is a 2016, it's got a few more years, the flesh and texture are there, but it's still, there's so much vibrancy and brightness in the back of the mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
And what's fun about that, I think, is when the texture starts to lead, but that vibrancy is still there. Like the shape of the wine in the mouth is really fun. It like opens like a cloud and then kind of narrows down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it punches you.
Dancey, kabam, you know?
Exactly. The dancing carrot and then the
Yeah. I'm gonna get you. But,
yeah.
Yeah. It makes the wine work though. you
No,
know?
it's super good. Do you know this wine?
Oh yeah. I haven't had that one though, but I know it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
no, that's
good.
great. No, I actually have been wanting to have that.
Good. Yay. Because I was thinking, right, so we said no California, which is naughty of us.
It's very naughty.
Very
of us,
naughty.
yeah.
But so I was thinking back to some of the more fun wines in my cellar, and I was kind of going through some stuff, and I wanted to bring this white because I love it. But what I really wanted to bring, which I couldn't because of our no California rule, I wanted to bring a Kathy Corison wine to kind of honor sort of,
Yeah.
you know, one of the first times I really got to spend time with you. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
at her vertical.
Yeah. So when I was still just kind of getting started as a writer out here, or getting started as anything out here, Kathy was one of the first people to really look at me and appreciate what I was doing and trying to do, and was very supportive. And so when she did her 25-year vertical, she had Elaine and I host it together, and I didn't really know you that well. And we got to spend that night together kind of dueling back and forth commentary about 25 vintages of Corison with Kathy there. I mean, it was such a cool night.
Can I interrupt the crowd for a second? Because what you need to know is that we tasted 25 vintages of Napa Valley Cabernet made by one of the great legends of Napa Valley, Kathy Corson. And every 5 vintages or so, Kelli would just casually get up and like off the cuff tell us what every vintage growing condition was like, how the wines have aged, blah, 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 and like out of her head.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. We can just toot each other's horns. So this is a wine that I brought home from a recent trip to the Loire Valley. This is Stater West, the Sommer Blanc. So Chenin Blanc 2016, Les Chapeaux vineyard. And I love this wine, and I really liked this guy.
Well, and you have to explain what it means to say it's Stater West, because like his story is pretty unique too.
Well, I think probably the most unique part of it is that he's an American making wine in a pretty traditional wine growing region of France. I mean, I think it's weird enough when an American is making wine in France anyway, but I think it's definitely eye-raising when it's in a place like the Loire, which I think of as being really kind of Loire-y,
Right,
you know,
right,
sort of
yeah.
not closed borders per se, but you know, not as international as other wine regions. Like I would be less surprised if an American was making wine in Bordeaux. But so this guy is a young whippersnapper from Eugene, Oregon, Brendan Stater West, who went to France to teach English in Paris and fell in love with wine, and then basically talked his way into a job at Guy Berthaud. Isn't it like?
It's like.
Yeah. So
wow.
this is that limestone like energy.
Yeah, God, I love that. I've been in a bad mood this year. And so, my friend keeps being like, get some limestone. You have to drink some limestone. It'll change everything. And I'm like, here it is. I have it.
Is it turning the beat
yeah,
around?
No, it is.
Okay,
Thank
good.
God. Like I'm good. So if I start crying and then laughing maniacally, you know, it's the release.
I feel like Chenin Blanc would want you to have that reaction.
I agree.
So when I tasted this wine, I was going through my notes when I was there. I wrote, this is kind of stupid, but I wrote the word kapow and then put spiky lines all around it, like
that's what I was just
comic book.
physically enacting, though.
Perfect.
You know, just like we have similar reactions to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drinks like the word kapow. I mean, it's just so
Wow, it's great.
This actually is kind of vibing with that.
No, I was just thinking that it's like a perfect follow-up. Like this is clearly a blend. Like it has the kind of textural layers of a blend.
Yeah.
But this is sort of, it's like the same core and shape of wine, but with a single variety and now with a constellation of,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Constellation versus North Star.
Well, it's like they're cousins or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well.
Cousins that grew up in different countries.
Yum, yum.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's nice because for me, this wine, like, this is something that I think Chenin Blanc does really well, but also I think is specific to this wine where it has a lot of energy and excitement, but there's also polish. And I feel like sometimes when a wine wants to be polished, like it chooses the polish and it is like, I am going to be a polished wine and everything else that about me doesn't matter as much, you know. This wine has like just a kind of natural suaveness, a natural polish, but it still has all this interest and humanity in it, you know.
No, it's like a kid that grew up in private school, but now he just likes to fucking dance, you know? You know? Like he's got all the
Yeah.
etiquette training. He can totally wear the suit.
Right.
The shoes look good. But he's gonna like sweat, you know? Like
Yeah,
you
he's
know, he
gonna
knows how
sweat
to
through
do
the
it.
suit.
Yeah.
And the tie is going around the forehead.
If you have to bring only one bottle, that's a good bottle.
It's
to
not a
bring.
bad bottle. It's
Yeah.
not a bad bottle.
It actually ties really nicely to the first red I brought.
Oh, perfect.
The wine that made me irretrievably fall in love with wine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I already knew wine was cool. And I knew it could be like amazing, life-changing and hot shit and stuff. But the wine that made me like leave my career, throw it all away and be like, I have to figure this out was actually Irie Pinot Meunier.
Okay.
And you and I both have a great love of Oregon and Willamette Valley.
And we've drank a lot of Pinot Meunier champagnes together over the
yes.
years.
I don't know. It's such a weird thing to love because it's so subtle. Like
Yeah.
Pinot Meunier at its best. Like it has this bad reputation of being all about fruit.
Right.
It doesn't age. You know, it's like those things are not true.
Right.
But when it's good, it's like profoundly subtle, but full of nuance and detail. And I've been lucky enough to have, you know, still red Pinot Meunier that was like back to the 60s. Like it does age. Jason Lett of Irie, he knows of my love of Pinot Meunier. So I like travel the world and find Pinot Meunier and then bring it back to drink with him.
Oh my God, fun. 1999.
Yeah, so this is really special because again, Irie Pinot Meunier is the wine that made me go all in for wine. And 99 is the year my daughter was born. And so I'm like gonna cry on camera, as if I haven't before, you know. Yeah, so I called Jason and I was like, Kelli and I are gonna get together and we are gonna surprise each other with wine. And I really want to bring your Pinot Meunier.
Oh.
And he said, well, let me see what I can find. So yeah, so 1999, Irie Pinot Meunier, made from the first Pinot Meunier ever planted in Oregon. 1965 planted, made by Jason Lett's father, David Lett.
This is so special.
Yeah,
What a
cheers.
sweetheart. Thank you. You know, when you bring a wine that's so personal, it's like drinking you know, like I'm getting a sip of Elaine.
But it's also, for me, it's the reason this wine, you know, a different vintage, but the reason Irie Pinot Meunier changed my life is because it represents this kind of quiet boldness. You know, like David Lett just made a choice.
Yeah.
He made a choice and all these people told him no, and he didn't fight about it. He just went north anyway. He just did it anyway, you know? And his choice to go ahead and go forth, like it changed the world. Willamette Valley is one of North America's great wine regions now. And a big part of this wine is from those first vines planted. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And dear David Lett is not alive anymore. You know, Jason is fantastic and he's like such an incredible winemaker and an incredible person and doing such a great job with Irie. But like his dad, the first man to plant vines in Willamette Valley, made this wine and we get to like hang out with it.
That's awesome.
I just think that's huge, you know?
That's so cool. It's amazing how like a little bit of some vision and one decision can have such a widespread impact.
Yeah. But that, I mean, that for me, that's why, you know, like I love Pinot Meunier, but also just the way that wine just is imbued and can open us to see so many layers of culture and humanity,
Yeah.
you know? There's just few other things that can bring so much together like that. So,
So when you're drinking a wine from the vintage your daughter was born, like what's going through your mind? What does that emotion kind of do to the wine, or what does the wine do to that emotion?
I don't know if I don't know, it's in a weird way, I'm not sure if I think about that too much. I mean, I'm so lucky. My daughter is like one of the coolest people on the planet, and she and I have a really good relationship. So it's like,
Yeah.
yay, yay, that worked so well. That's like this huge blessing. But it's also, I don't know, in some ways it's weird because it was a really weird time in my life.
Yeah.
I was really young, but it's also this like link back to the start of this arc that's my daughter's life. And she's this amazing person, and she, you know, it turned out that I became an only parent, and so she and I have very much grown up together. And it's like you know, it takes you back to the start.
Your relationship with your daughter is really inspiring to me, and especially at the age where she is now, 21 years old still, right? She
Yeah.
hasn't turned 22 in the last time since I've seen you. That's an age where there's like real distance between children and their parents. And instead, you guys have this closeness, this unbelievable closeness, not just physical closeness, but emotional closeness. It's so inspirational.
Both of us did a lot of really intentional work to become adults beside each other.
It's amazing.
You know, like I was very aware I have to let my daughter become her own adult. And it's a lot of work in myself to do that. But the only way to show how much respect and admiration I have for her is to give her that space, you know? So we're really lucky.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Can I lighten the mood with a funny story that involves Pinot Meunier?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you remember when you have a new baby and you're not sleeping. She's 9 weeks old today, so I haven't had a REM cycle in over 2 months, and I'm getting a little nutty. And sometimes it's funny, and my dreams have been really weird and complicated, which I suspect they always are. But because I'm never fully asleep, I remember more of it. So
Oh, right.
I can remember big chunks of crazy dreams. And I had this weird wine dream the other day that I was in a champagne tasting. It was like a blind tasting classroom scenario, like, you know, the master wine exam or something like that. And there was 12 glasses of champagne in front of me. And it was a blind tasting. I had to identify the champagnes, right? So I'm sitting there in a room full of people. Suddenly they hand out 2 planks, and on each plank is strapped 6 dead birds on each plank. So I had 2, this is really disturbing.
So like one for each glass of champagne?
Yeah, so I had 12 dead birds in front of me that ranged in size from New York pigeon to hummingbird, and they all had a little strap. And the assignment was figure out which champagne was made from which bird. And I remember sitting in this room kind of looking like this, and it's a competitive
hummingbird
environment.
Pinot Meunier.
Well, that's what you would think, but my dream went the other way. And I said out loud, champagne is made from birds? And everybody was like, shh.
We're not supposed to talk about it.
And I remember feeling this exam panic, like, I'm not prepared to take this exam.
How am I this far into my career and I didn't know that?
I am so unprepared. Like, I'm gonna fail. This is what I'm worried about. Not that champagne is made from like dead animals. It was that I am gonna fail, right? So, and the adjudicator said, you know, just one hint. Everybody knows that New York City pigeons have the highest percentage of Pinot Meunier. Go.
Oh my God.
And I'm just panicking, and I woke up.
See, I think this is reflective of that stereotype I was talking about where everybody thinks Pinot Meunier gives fruit. And New York City pigeons like are round.
Voluptuous,
yeah.
shiny.
Yeah.
I know people don't like New York City pigeons. I love them. I think they're
They're
beautiful.
badass and
Yeah.
beautiful both.
And they go where they want because they're
they
New
own the city.
Yorkers.
I actually think they're the most successful bird on the planet. Pigeons in general. Because if you think
Successful.
about,
I love that word for a pigeon.
No, because if you think about pigeons, they have totally a bad reputation.
Right.
Everybody thinks that they're like rats with better clothes, right?
Right.
Come up with a city in the world that doesn't have them.
Exactly. They're very cosmopolitan.
Multicultural. They have
Well-traveled.
settled every major country in the world, right?
Yeah.
You could eat them, but they're like walk around and they're like, try. Go ahead, try.
They'll take your lunch money.
Yeah.
Every time.
They will totally land on you and steal your food.
And
they don't care.
Poop on you, probably.
They own it.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They hang out in the hip places. You want to be where the pigeons are.
Yeah. Okay, so I did bring another red wine.
Right.
And I also broke a rule.
Oh, no, come on.
Yeah, but I did it out of love and respect, okay? Because I think rules really are meant to set intentions.
Okay.
And if you're scared of the world, you follow the rules. If you are here for love of the world, then you ask, what did the rule ask me to learn? And how can I respect the lesson, whether I follow the rule or not?
This is similar to my approach to the speed limit.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about my driving because I won't make it home if I do. But yeah, so anyway, so we said we weren't going to bring California wine, but one of the most difficult vintages California's ever had was 2011.
Right.
But you and I both have a lot of respect for 2011. And you have before commented that you thought Inglenook made some of the best 2011s.
You do.
And so I brought Rubicon.
Oh, fun.
But I would love you to open it, if that's okay.
I would be honored. Yeah, so I love talking about this wine. So you're going to make me sound so smart. Thank you for the tee up.
This is why I brought it. I was like, there's no one better to ask to open and drink Rubicon than Ms. Kelli White.
Thank you. Well, so I tasted this wine with Philippe Basco, the winemaker, who had just arrived from Chateau Margaux in time for this vintage, because 2011 was the year, if I'm not mistaken, that Francis Ford Coppola was able to bring it all back together, right?
It's his favorite vintage. It's the year that he feels Inglenook finally expresses the dream.
Right. He's got the name back, he's got the label back, he's got, all the stuff, right? And he brings over Philippe Basco from Bordeaux, and then we have a very cold, wet year. Well, it's funny because I was working on the floor at press during that vintage. And one thing that I think is really important that everyone listening should know is that if you think you are having a private conversation in a restaurant, you are not. the staff can hear you. They are judging you. They're stealing your tax, your stock market tips. Like we hear what you are saying. And so in 2011 in Napa Valley, because a lot of winemakers ate at press, they were super scared. And there was I heard the word mega purple a ton. I know some dirty, dirty secrets about this vintage. And it's a vintage that's interesting because in Europe, there's a European reflex to be oh, I like 2011 because I know that that's a colder year. And some people made wines true to that condition.
Right.
And then some people made crazy-ass Frankenstein wines with
It's a year you have to know your producer.
You really, really do. And so there was, I think, a lot of pressure on winemakers in Napa to create something more similar to the Napa norm. And so there was pressure to manipulate. But those that refrained from that made beautiful wines. So in 2011, you had Philippe Basco. So I'm probably tasting with him in 2013. So we had 2011 and 2012, which was the polar opposite vintage, as you know. Hot, ripe, bountiful. And he said that for him coming from Bordeaux, 2011 with its rain and its cold and its rot felt normal to him. It felt manageable. It was 2012 with the drought and everything where he was this is an alien vintage. What the heck do I do?
Yeah, it smells gorgeous. Oh my God.
Great. And I haven't tried this vintage in so long, so thank you for bringing it.
Well, that's what I was thinking, that maybe you hadn't had it in a while, but I knew you loved it, and so I just thought it'd be fun to...
Oh, it smells so good.
It smells really good. This definitely has more of the cool climate aromatic features.
Yeah, it has precision, and I don't think that's a word that you use with Napa Cabernet that much. It's, It has angles. Cheers to
Yeah,
you.
cheers. Like with some more air and some meat, this is gonna be good.
That's beautiful.
I realized that this would scandalize some people, but I actually feel like this Rubicon, 2011 Inglenook Rubicon, weirdly works as a follow-up to 1999 Irie Pinot Meunier.
Explain.
Still red Pinot Meunier often ages into this kind of rusty nail seashell combination. And so there's like this iron element, something like that. And I actually am very much getting that in this wine right now too. It's obviously structurally
Yeah.
totally different. You know, Pinot Meunier is all about subtle harmonics, and this wine is all about like stature and texture.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like opposite angles, but there's like, I feel like the two could understand each other. Like they'd be
Yeah.
translating
They'd be
across
friends.
totally different cultures and languages, but they would want to do the work of that.
They'd be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also both have this high-toned quality, I think, and like you said, this sort of vibration that's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
For me, what makes a great wine is that quality of energy. And
Yeah.
it's as undefinable as quality and energy in art or quality and energy in music.
Yeah.
You know, it's not attributable to any one thing. It's
Yeah.
this kind of intangible whole, this sort of idea of balance and quality that
I feel like for me, it's this moment where that thing in front of me seems to have a life of its own. Like
Right.
it really does seem to belong to itself.
right.
You know? So like there's a lot of wine you can drink it and it's good, but it feels like it's like, yeah, it's just, you know, it's just to drink and be good.
Right.
But then there are wines that are like, there's some, it's like they're self-aware. They're here to have their own existence.
Right. It's like Westworld.
It's just like, you know, intense, yeah. But you know, I just like, there's a life to them. So we should put the wine aside because I brought a surprise.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move those. I have different glasses. Forgive me for not having elegant, gorgeous crystal lowballs. I instead have these, which will work just fine. So I had this gin literally flown in from Scotland. It is not available in the United States, but I found one shop in Scotland that flew it to me as glassware. Because look at the gorgeous glass.
This is beautiful. That is really beautiful.
Just the bottling.
Where's the color coming from? Just the bottom?
From the bottle,
Okay.
from the glass. So they sent it to me as glassware. And I had never had it. But it's actually, they dive into the sea of Scotland.
Okay.
Like, what in the fuck is going on here, people? Okay. The thing that's crazy about it is it still has juniper, of course, but it's primarily infused with sugar kelp. So it's a type of kelp that grows in the Sea of Scotland that tastes sweet.
Oh, okay.
And so the thing about this gin, so I'm gonna have us taste it just on its own, and then I brought like little mixers for
Oh my God,
Yeah.
you are really prepared for this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but you know, it's Kelly White. What are you gonna do? You bring the best, you know? So.
Now we just shoot this, right?
Well, no, yeah, no.
Oh, wow, that smells great.
Yeah, it's like earthy, funky, and really pretty all at the same time.
Pretty was the first word I thought of, but now I'm getting the earth a little bit, but it is really,
It's like a really gorgeous, super loving, sweet hippie girl that actually showers, you know?
I've not met this woman, but I would like to.
Yeah. She's all love. She feels the earth. She loves animals. Her skirts are made of macrame, but she showers every day, you know?
What a woman. This is great.
So I did also bring a grapefruit and just a little bit of elderflower tonic.
Oh my God.
So I like this with just an easy slice of grapefruit. Just squeeze some in,
Great.
okay? So then just like a splash of elderflower. It's always so good to see you.
So good to see you. Cheers.
Cheers. say that's good.
Super good. Who needs wine?
I think we still need wine.